Now, I've liked Justice Smith in films like Detective Pikachu and Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, but here he is very much his character from the Jurassic World franchise. Just multiplied. I've often joked, as have other people, about the mystical, magical black characters we've seen in films and television for decades. The idea of the black man or black woman who's there to give the struggling white character a piece of much-needed advice or courage to stand up and confront whatever the conflict is of the story. Plenty of cases like that, from Will Smith's Bagger Vance trying to help Matt Damon to Michael Clark Duncan's John Coffey trying to help Tom Hanks pee.
What do you want, John Coffey?
Just to help.
Plus, you have the whole concept of the blackifice, which involves the black character of a film or TV show dying, most of the time trying to protect the film's leads or after giving an inspiring speech.
We're gonna seal off this.
Stuff you can't help but laugh at nowadays. You know, the whole saying is, if you're brown, you're going down. If you're white, well, you're going to be all right. So we have this movie, The American Society of Magical Negroes, which looks like it's going to comment on some of those things and attempt to satirize it. And I'm like, sure, show me what you got. In hindsight, I regret saying that after watching this film, but let me provide you with a synopsis before getting into the bullshit. A young black man is recruited into a magical society of black people who dedicate their lives to making white people's lives easier. And though he is initially enamored with his newfound powers, he becomes resentful of his gifts and responsibilities and wishes to pursue a romance with a woman he later meets. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this laughable excuse of a film. I mean, honestly, I wish I could laugh at it, with it, next to it, under it, above it. Believe me, I do. But this movie is absolutely atrocious in terms of its failed attempts at satirization, but also because of its smugness. Its rampant smugness and inability to focus on anything it attempts to bring up and comment on throughout its storytelling and its characters. Now, despite what I said at the top, people going into this movie might be thinking, this is like Harry Potter, except the majority of the characters are black. That's not what this is. Okay? I hate to disappoint you. So abandon all hope, ye who enter. The concept of the American Society of Magical Negroes is that this organization exists to assist all white people across the planet, including major historical figures, because white people are too stupid and too violent to do anything themselves. And in doing so, the society protects black people because the white people would hurt or kill black people ordinarily. That's what the film is saying. That's what the movie says at the top. All right? Don't worry. It gets even worse. We're introduced to this world through Justice Smith's character of Aaron, who, after a ridiculous encounter with a few white people, is recruited into the society by David Alan Grier's character of Roger, because he's just really good at making white people feel comfortable and not murderous, and he's just got that right amount of secret stuff to be a great, mystical, magical black person.
Your secret stuff. Wow.
Now, I've liked Justice Smith in films like Detective Pikachu and Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, but here he is very much his character from the Jurassic World franchise. Just multiplied. He's annoying, constantly scared, can barely speak at times, and that's all we really get from him. We don't learn anything about him or his life before the society gets a hold of him. And because his performance is so annoying and what's written for him is so terrible, we just start to despise and resent his character. He's later assigned to a guy named Jason who works for a tech company, and Jason's, of course, white and pathetic, and the film wants to, make sure to get that across, and believe me, they do. But inexplicably, the movie suddenly shifts focus. And while it was completely failing with weaving whatever message it was trying to get across, it just becomes a really lame romantic comedy all of a sudden.
This is bullshit.
Aaron meets this girl named Lizzie, and it just focuses on their romance. And the magical society plot line for long stretches is just abandoned. And, those hoping that because of Aaron's newfound abilities that he now is a little more, a little charm, a little more class, all that. Forget that bullshit. He's just as annoying, awkward, and poorly written around her than he was before. The movie starts to wrap up with a whole sequence that's a soapbox PSA delivered by Aaron about the struggle of being black in America. The problem is that because so much of the movie becomes about that romance that he has with Lizzie, nothing he says has any meaning because he himself didn't go through those things. And the white people were just confused. And I was confused too, because nothing he was saying was making any fucking sense because he didn't struggle. And while all those things make this film disappointing, frustrating, and even gross at times, it truly fails to contribute anything meaningful on racism or the modern discourse around it. Instead, it seems to just relish being divisive for the sake of being divisive. It enjoyed perpetuating broad stereotypes of many people, both black and white, without punctuating those stereotypes with a satirical and intelligent punchline. Its smugness when it came to commenting on its own preconceived version of the supposed divide between black and white people is just polarizing to be polarizing without having anything really meaningful to say. And pushing all that bullshit aside, and believe me, I want to, it abandons all those poorly thought out ideas to just be a really shitty romantic comedy. In the end, that's what it is. I suppose that in itself is funny, is hilarious, because despite these filmmakers thinking they're speaking the truth with their incisive, but in reality, they're really stupid social political commentary, they just lazily give up on it to be a romantic comedy on a level of a Lifetime movie. At least the Lifetime movies know what they are, unlike this film. Listen, I can keep going on about this movie, but it just sucks, goddammit. As an idea, on paper, and on the screen. It's truly a fucking joke. And maybe that's the real punchline at the end of the day. It's lame execution of anything it conceives of is as dumb as the filmmakers' ideas behind it. And at least I and others and you can laugh at that incredible failure. Oh, and I will say this: David Alan Grier is good in the movie when he's on screen, but he just gets lost in so much of the bullshit of this film, and that bullshit being the American Society of Magical Negroes. So as you guys can tell, I was not a fan of this movie for a variety of reasons. But what about you guys? Did you happen to like the movie? Were you mixed on it? Did you hate this film? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.